We are on a lunch break from day 3 of the Diddy trial, and this has been another 3 hours of Diddy's ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, on the stand, recounting the horrors that she endured for nearly 11 years as his on and off girlfriend between 2007 and 2018. Now, I'm going to break this down for you with respect to the good and the bad from the perspective of the state looking to get a conviction, because right now they're the ones who are center stage. So let's look at it from their perspective. If you are the state, you are pleased that you got this morning certain testimony which really helps secure the notion that not all that a lot of what her motivation was, Cassie's motivation was to perform in these degrading sexual acts that they refer to as freak-offs, was motivated by things other than love and other than her free choice. And the monstrosity of Diddy was on full display this morning in ways that seemed to exceed what we saw yesterday. There's description of an exchange. They actually had an exhibit of an exchange of a text message between Diddy and Cassie, where he's saying that that he does not want her to use ketamine anymore during his freak-offs, because he was bothered by the fact that it would make her too dissociative. She said she wanted ketamine. She liked using ketamine because it would help her not be there in the moment, and she could basically suffer through without experiencing it. And that seemed to bother Diddy, that he said that part of a good freak off is that you remember it, meaning that, let's make sure that these scars I'm giving you here are going to last forever. He didn't say those words. I'm paraphrasing what the perspective he seems to have been taken with respect to, I want to make sure that you're going to remember this. We also, and very important for the state and very beneficial for them, is we started hearing more direct testimony today about threats of blackmail. That he would mention when he got angry that he wanted to scare her, that he would bring up that there are vids out there which he would release and embarrass her and ruin her career if she didn't do what he wanted. This is critical for the defense in two separate ways. Number one is it helps undercut any claim that we anticipate from the defense that these were free choices that Cassie was making. And furthermore, it helps support the racketeering claim. And now we can see evidence of the crime of blackmail, that he is basically saying perform or else. That is a potential felony, and if the jury accepts her claims that she was being blackmailed, you can see how this can really help the state secure a conviction. Further monstrosity was on display in the form of a picture of injuries that she sustained as a result of some of his physical violence. And specifically, I'm referring to an incident that she said where she was thrown down on a bed frame and got a gash by her left eye. In the picture, you could see she has this brutal golf ball sized injury which swelled up by her eye there and looked horrible. And she was supposed to be going to an event that night or shortly thereafter. She had to cover with her hair. She said that Diddy sent her to a plastic surgeon to try and fix the injury that he had allegedly caused her. During that incident, it also beneficial to the state is that it was witnessed by two other people, one being her friend Mia, another Deontay, and that they actually she says that they jumped on his back to try and stop him from attacking her. Now these corroborating witnesses with respect to his physical violence, these all obviously help the state secure a notion that she's not acting by free choice and that she had legitimate concerns that if she failed to abide by his wishes, no matter how degrading or humiliating they may be for her, that she would ultimately suffer the consequences either through physical violence or emotional and psychological damage of having these videos of her released, which she said would be horrible. That she mentioned that her mother would see it could ruin her career, and that she felt utterly degraded and humiliated by them. She talked about how she tried getting him to delete the videos, and that there was an incident after she had gotten into fight with him, and she didn't want to come back from Cannes, that she was thrown off his boat when they were in Cannes in France, and I believe Cannes is in France, and that she was thrown off his boat and he was accusing her of stealing drugs from him. So she threw him off the boat, and then they had a premiere that night, and when they went to the premiere, that he was glaring at her and grabbing her leg in the darkness of the movie theater in order to try and express his displeasure with her because he was still angry at her. They flew back from Cannes the next day, and she changed seats to move away from him, and he followed after her, getting the guy sitting next to her to move so that he could sit next to her. And then he opened his laptop up and showed her on the plane there video that he had on his laptop of a freak-off, which he said was humiliating and degrading. So all of this is good to help establish for the jury that this was an improper exercise of control and coercion by Diddy, which helps to support both the sex trafficking claims and the RICO charges that the state has brought. That's the good side of the perspective from the state from what happened this morning. The bad side, I would say, is when you're in the room there, you can feel the pacing is so sluggish. That I personally, as a litigator, am very frustrated with the work of this particular prosecutor. Some prosecutors, like I said, Maureen Comey happens to have unique talents on direct. Ms. Johnson, who's conducting this direct testimony, is very frustrating because she will jump from 2013 to 2016, back to 2011, then to 2017. She's sharing text message exchanges and talking about different incidents, and doesn't seem to be any sort of direction. We're not working chronologically here. I don't know if she's covering by topic, and it feels as if there's no end. Like there's no end. I don't know, maybe she's trying to make us feel the bleakness of her situation and make us feel bleak about our current situation, that we don't know when this is going to end. We have no idea. This can go on forever. We still have not heard anything about an alleged rape, which happened in 2018, and I have no reason to assume we're going to be finished with direct testimony this afternoon. I don't know. It could be that she has 2 more questions. It could be she has 2,000 more questions. And as an alternate juror, so to speak, and I don't mean, obviously, I'm not a literal alternate juror, but I'm saying we sitting in the viewing room watching this whole proceeding going on are kind of like a jury. It's hard to imagine they feel very differently than we do, and there's a real frustration with the pacing, the repetitiveness. I cannot tell you how many times she asked the question, and who did you want to have sex with? Sean. And over and over, every time she talks about some freak off and how she didn't want to be doing it, and who did you want to be having sex with? Sean. Every time. And it's just, it just feels very repetitive, and it feels as if there's no direction, and we don't know when this is going to end. And it's very, very frustrating as a litigator. And the other problem that I'm having is that in certain ways she doesn't seem that well prepped. She really doesn't. This is your star witness. She's one of the 2 people who you bring in this 8-week trial who were allegedly sexually trafficked. You would think that the prep that she would have with this witness would be like, crystal clear. When I ask you, what is the danger of him being angry? I want to hear violence. I want to hear blackmail. I don't want to hear you say things would be bad. These are things you can walk her through, assuming that, she laces it in here and there, but I can't tell you how many times she'd be like, what would happen if he would get violent? Same question every time. And we never know what the answer is going to be. See, he get angry. And what happens when he's angry? That's bad. Well, what's bad? Well, what do you mean when you say that would be bad? Well, it's never good in a relationship when you're in a relationship with someone and they're angry. No, give us the violence. You talked about the violence all the time. If the violence was a motivating factor, we need you to say that right then and there. And frankly, this is not on Cassie. It's not on Cassie or her testimony. This is a matter of what I personally feel was poor prep work by this attorney. It's poor prep work in having this witness ready and understanding what you're really asking from her in order to help actually establish your elements. You sort of say, look, if this is what the answer, that I need you to give me that, and not just be vague about what makes it bad. Because that's All that's doing is helping the defense and putting them to sleep because you don't have a direction, and because we have no idea if we're going to be sitting through another 2 hours of direct or another 2 days of direct. That we're not working through time, so I don't know. I do know that there's a massive incident that happened in 2018, allegedly, that I'm expecting we're going to hear about. I assume that's going to take at least an hour, but I don't know how many other incidents we're going to hear about. So, just wrapping up here from this morning, I feel as if there was progress made, definitely, if you're looking from the perspective of the state, and helping to get us closer towards understanding why he deserves to be convicted and that he was committing crimes. And this is not just your typical boyfriend or even an abusive boyfriend or even an abusive violent boyfriend, but abusive violent boyfriend who was using his abuse and violence to try and push her into having no decision here. I definitely see how it was noticeable how he worked in that direction. But there are certain ways that this could have been brought down, as I expressed earlier. This could have been brought down far more directly and not opened up doorways for the defense to say, well, you're afraid of making him angry because it would harm your relationship. And as a litigator, I feel personally frustrated by that. Anyway, that's my report from this morning. I expect to drop another this afternoon after we finish the afternoon session. This is Good Logic, aka Joe Neerman, in downtown New York, covering the Diddy trial. I urge you, please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. It helps the algorithm, and let me know if you have any specific questions. I'll try to address them here. So, and I will see you all later. Also tonight, I go into much greater detail about the testimony. That's in my nightly podcast. That's over on YouTube and Rumble. Good Logic on both those channels. Till then, Godspeed.